Your class may be more valuable than you've been taught to believe. What if the most valuable thing about your class isn't the workout itself? What if the real power of your class is the job it's doing in someone's life? And what if understanding that is the very thing that opens up the door to your next level of growth? Because people are not just hiring your class for sets, reps, calories, or choreography. They're hiring it to help them move through life with more energy, more confidence, more clarity, more connection, and maybe even more of themselves. In this video, I'm going to show you how to think about your classes through a completely different lens, one that can help you position your brand more clearly, design your class experiences more intentionally, and market your studio in a way that feels more relevant to the people who need it the most, more compelling than your competitors, and impossible to ignore. I'm Barry, co-founder of Fit Karma, where we help fitness studio owners build a brand that moves people, and a brand people choose beyond the workout. My wife Shay and I have helped build some of the most iconic fitness brands around the world. Me on the brand strategy side, her on the experience design side, helping studios clarify their brand architecture and bring it to life through the experiences they create. Because the brands people stay loyal to don't just offer classes, they architect journeys for their clients to experience real transformation. For a long time, fitness business owners have been taught to believe that growth comes from offering the best attributes: better programming, better equipment, better amenities, better instructors, a more polished brand. And to be clear, those things do matter. But here's the question. What if you could keep optimizing all of that and still be missing the deeper reason people choose your classes in the first place? What if you could spend time, money, and energy improving the visible parts of your offer while completely overlooking the real role it's playing in someone's life? Because once you see that, everything starts to change. And the story that brings this to life comes from a place you probably wouldn't expect: McDonald's. At first glance, it may sound completely unrelated to boutique fitness, but stay with me, because what this story reveals about how people choose is one of the most useful things I've ever learned about branding, experience design, and growth. McDonald's wanted to sell more milkshakes. And because they're McDonald's, they did what most sophisticated businesses do when they want to grow. They studied the consumer, they gathered data, they built a profile of the ideal milkshake buyer, brought people into rooms and asked them how to make the milkshake better. They got clear feedback, they made improvements based on the attributes people said they wanted. And it changed. Absolutely nothing. No meaningful impact on sales, no real shift in profits. Now just sit with that for a second. They were doing exactly what most smart businesses have been taught to do: listen carefully, improve the offer, optimize the attributes. And still, they were clearly missing a deeper truth. So they brought in an outside perspective and were shown a far more revealing approach. They stopped asking how to make the milkshake better, and they started asking a radically different question. What is happening in someone's life that causes them to come here and hire this milkshake in the first place? And when I say hire, I mean, what job is this milkshake being chosen to do in that moment? And that question changed everything, because the moment they asked it, they were no longer studying the product. They were studying the role it was playing in someone's life. And that is where the breakthrough began. So, one of the researchers stood in McDonald's for 18 hours and simply observed who was buying milkshakes. What time were they buying them? Were they alone? Were they ordering food with it? Were they drinking it there or taking it with them? And what they found was completely unexpected. About half of the milkshakes were being sold before 8:30 in the morning. The people buying them were almost always alone. It was usually the only thing they bought, and they took it straight into the car and drove off. And that alone should stop you in your tracks, because nobody hears the words milkshake customer and thinks solo commuter at 6:30 in the morning. So the next day, they positioned themselves outside the restaurant again and started talking to people as they came out with their milkshake. And instead of asking things like, do you like the flavor? Should it be thicker? Do you want more chocolate? They asked much more revealing questions. What was going on in your life this morning that caused you to choose this? And when people reflected on that question, the real story began to emerge. They said things like, I have a long and boring drive to work. I need something that keeps me occupied. I'm not hungry yet, but I know I'll be hungry by 10. I need something easy. I need something that keeps my hunger at bay. I need something that's fun to consume. Then came the most important question of all. When you had this same need on another day, but you didn't come here, what did you choose instead? And the answer was not another milkshake. It was donuts, bagels, a Snickers bar, a banana. This was the biggest insight of all because McDonald's thought they were competing with other milkshakes. But from the customer's point of view, they were competing with anything that could do that job. Anything that could make a long, boring commute feel more tolerable. Anything that could keep someone engaged for a while. Anything that felt easy, satisfying, and convenient enough to fit into the structure of that morning. And here's what's so powerful. The milkshake did that job better than the obvious alternatives. It lasted longer than a banana and didn't have a messy peel to deal with. It was easier to handle than a bagel, which is impossible to safely cut and spread nearly frozen cream cheese on in the car. And ironically, it felt more satisfying than a Snickers bar. And one person essentially said by the time 10 o'clock came around, they were still full. So the breakthrough was not make the milkshake more chocolatey, cheaper, or more exciting on paper. The breakthrough was we are not just selling a milkshake. We are serving a specific job in the structure of someone's day. And once they saw that, everything changed. They could improve the product in ways that actually mattered. They could market it in a way that actually connected. They could better differentiate themselves. They could understand their real competition more accurately. And they could see that the opportunity was far bigger than they originally thought because the real market was not limited to the milkshake category at all. And get this, once this insight was applied, the opportunity proved to be 7 times bigger than they had estimated when they were marketing by the attributes alone. And that is what makes this story so powerful. McDonald's was never just selling a milkshake. They were helping someone get through their morning. They were helping someone bridge the gap between leaving the house and getting to 10 a.m. They were helping someone make a tedious drive feel a little more bearable. They were helping someone solve a problem that had very little to do with the product category itself. And this same realization can change everything in your business the same way. Because just like McDonald's thought they were selling a milkshake, it can be easy for you to believe that growth comes from optimizing the visible attributes of your class. The programming, the equipment, the amenities, the aesthetics, the hype. But if you don't understand the deeper role your class is playing in someone's life, you can unintentionally spend all this time, money, and energy improving the offer in ways that still misses the mark. Once you understand the job your class is really doing, it starts to hold a much stronger place in your client's day and a much more meaningful place in the story of their life. The job your workout is doing is not to tone their thighs. It's not to burn calories. It's not to increase their VO2 max. It's not to leave them dripping in sweat. And it's not simply to give them a workout. Those things may absolutely matter, but they are not the deepest reason someone is choosing your class. Because nobody actually wants burned calories for the sake of burned calories. They want what those burned calories represent. They want to feel more comfortable in their body, more confident in their clothes, more like themselves when they catch their reflection in the mirror. Nobody wants a higher VO2 max just because the number is higher. They want what that makes possible. They want to hike longer without feeling wrecked, keep up with their kids, travel with more energy, move through life with more stamina, more capacity, more freedom. Nobody wants to leave class drenched in sweat just for the spectacle of sweating. They want the feeling that they really did something, that they moved through something, that they broke through inertia, that they reconnected with their power, that they earned the emotional exhale on the other side. And that's the point. What people are ultimately choosing is rarely the metric itself. It's the life they believe that metric will help them live. That's why the deeper job of the class is not just fitness. It's what fitness makes possible. And maybe that's confidence, groundedness, more energy. Maybe it's resilience or clarity. Maybe it's the feeling of being strong enough, capable enough, and alive enough to fully participate in their life. And this is where it gets more interesting. That deeper job is not the same for every studio because every business is shaped by a different founder, a different story, belief system, set of values, a deeper reason for caring so deeply about this work in the first place. So consciously or unconsciously, your beliefs shape what you built. They shape the modality you chose, the way you structured the class, the equipment you invested in, the atmosphere you created, the way you coach and the outcomes you emphasize. which means the deeper job your classes are doing is often hiding inside the deeper reason why you built it the way you did. Maybe somewhere underneath your studio has a value like, I want to have rich memories of fully participating in my life all the way through my life. And maybe the reason you were drawn to strength training or Pilates or cycling or yoga or this specific style of coaching is because you believe this modality done in this way helps create a body that can actually support that kind of life. A body that's capable, resilient, and can keep showing up for what matters. A body whose well-span can match its lifespan. And when you understand that, you can stop talking about your classes like they're just workouts. You can start to see them for what they really are, a vehicle for a deeper kind of transformation. And that's where the power of your brand is. That's where your differentiation is. That's where your brand starts to become much harder to ignore. The way you define what you're selling shapes everything. If you think you're selling workouts, then naturally you'll market yourself like a workout. You'll compare yourself to other workouts, and you'll compete on the level of class format, aesthetics, intensity, amenities, convenience, schedule, and hype. And over time, that can start to commoditize what you do, because that's what people do with commodities. They compare, they shop, they ask which one is cheaper, which one is closer, which one fits their schedule better, which one feels more convenient, which one looks newer, which one gives them more for less. And once you get trapped in that frame, it becomes very hard to build a brand that feels truly distinct, because now you're asking people to choose between, to them, similar looking and sounding workouts. And when people are choosing between workouts, they tend to compare surface level differences. When you understand the deeper job your class is doing, everything changes, because you're no longer just selling a format, a modality, a playlist, a piece of equipment, or a class on the schedule. You're speaking to something much deeper. And when you understand that, your marketing gets sharper, because now you're not just describing a class, you're articulating a shift in their identity, not just their fitness level. Your messaging gets deeper because now you're not just promoting features, you're speaking to the real reason someone might choose you in the first place. And your differentiation gets stronger because now you're not just trying to be the best version of a familiar category. You're building a brand around a more meaningful role in someone's life. And just like McDonald's realized they were not only competing with other milkshakes, but with anything that could do the job in the structure of someone's morning, this shift can expand the way you understand your own competition too. Because your studio may not just be competing with the Pilates studio down the street. You may be competing with therapy, with a glass of wine at the end of the day, with sleeping in, with scrolling, with distraction, with a walk, with a nap, with every other thing a person might choose in the pursuit of energy, confidence, peace, release, connection, or a way back to themselves. And there's another reason this matters so much. The number of people actively looking for a workout is limited. It's mostly limited to the people who already value that kind of workout, already identify with that category, or are already open to trying it. But when you understand the deeper job your class is doing, you're no longer only speaking to the people who are already shopping for fitness. Now you can start reaching the people who need what your class actually helps make possible, even if they would never have thought of your workout as the answer. Because many people still think of fitness through a very narrow lens of punishment, calorie burning, making up for what they ate, something too intense, intimidating, or an activity that is not meant for people like them. So if you market your class as a workout, you may only reach the people already looking for a workout. But if you understand the deeper job it's doing, which again could be helping someone feel more energized, confident, or capable, then suddenly you can speak to a much bigger market. Now you can reach the person who never would have thought your class was for them. The person who says, I never would have considered this before, but actually this is exactly what I need. And that is part of what made the McDonald's insight so powerful. They were no longer just speaking to milkshake drinkers. They were speaking to anyone trying to solve that job. And when you understand the deeper job your class is doing, you get to do the same thing. And when you really understand that, you stop asking, how do I make my class sound better than the one down the street? And you start asking a much more powerful question. What deeper role is my class here to play in someone's life? And how do I build a brand and an experience around that truth? That has the potential to change everything. And if this is really landing for you right now, then you can probably feel that this is bigger than a copywriting or marketing tweak, bigger than a better headline on your website. Because once you understand the deeper job your class is doing, your brand builds momentum behind it. Now you can uncover the beliefs and values that have been shaping your brand all along, so that your business is no longer being built on instinct alone. Now you can identify the deeper progress your clients are actually trying to make, so that your message speaks to what they truly care about. Now you can see what your class is really being chosen for beyond the visible metrics, so that you can stop marketing surface level attributes and start articulating deeper value. And now you can turn all of that into sharper positioning, more resonant messaging, and class experiences that deliver on that promise more intentionally and more consistently, so that every part of your business is working harder in the same direction. This is where your brand, your experience, and your stories start to come into deeper alignment, so that what people feel inside your studio becomes much more connected to how they understand your value outside of it. And that is exactly the kind of work that we do with fitness businesses. We help you uncover the deeper truth underneath what you've built. We help you identify the beliefs, values, and differentiating perspective that are already shaping your studio, often beneath the surface. We help you clarify the deeper job your brand is here to do in people's lives. And then we help you turn that into a business people don't just notice, but feel. A business that sounds clearer, that resonates more deeply, that feels less interchangeable. A brand that people choose on purpose. So if this video opens something up for you and you want help uncovering the deeper job your brand is here to do and turn that into sharper positioning, deeper messaging, and class experiences that move people, book a fit call with us using the link below. And if this gave you a new lens for thinking about your classes, I'd love to know what landed most. So leave a comment below and share your biggest takeaway. If you found this valuable, like the video, follow the channel, and stay with us, because sometimes the next level of your business doesn't come from working harder inside the same frame. Sometimes it comes from seeing your business through a completely different lens. A lens that reveals what's already powerful about what you do, helps you articulate it more clearly, design for it more intentionally, and build a brand that moves people. A brand that's impossible to ignore.